Engines roar, the night ignites, rubber burns under neon lights, chrome shining, stars align, dreams hit the track, now it's grind time. Wrapped tight, tailpipes glow, pit stop precision, gotta keep that flow. Crowds a jungle, hearts in the choke, lap by lap, adrenaline spoke. Speed kings, chasing that checkered crown. Under the moon, we don't slow down. Saturday nights, we ride, we fly. Premium league, we touch the sky. Pedal to metal, no brakes in sight. Racing forever in the glowing night. V8 screaming, thunder on wheels, heat from the asphalt raw and real. Tracks a snake, it twists and winds, grip the wheel, leave fear behind. Spotlights dance, tires squeal, victory's close, you can almost feel. Pulse is wild, the finish looms, the checkered flag, it seals the room. Premium league, we touch the sky. Pedal to metal, no brakes in sight. Racing forever in the glowing night. V8 screaming, thunder on wheels, heat from the asphalt raw and real. Tracks a snake, it twists and winds, grip the wheel, leave fear behind. Spotlights dance, tires squeal, victory's close, you can almost feel. Pulse is wild, the finish looms, the checkered flag, it seals the room. Engines roar, the night ignites, rubber burns under neon lights, chrome shining, stars align, dreams hit the track, now it's grind time. Wrapped tight, tailpipes glow, pit stop precision, gotta keep that flow. Crowds a jungle, hearts in the choke, lap by lap, adrenaline spoke. Speed kings, chasing that checkered crown. Under the moon, we don't slow down. Saturday nights, we ride, we fly. Premium league, we touch the sky. Pedal to metal, no brakes in sight. Racing forever in the glowing night. V8 screaming, thunder on wheels, heat from the asphalt raw and real. Tracks a snake, it twists and winds, grip the wheel, leave fear behind. Spotlights dance, tires squeal, victory's close, you can almost feel. Pulse is wild, the finish looms, the checkered flag, it seals the room. Premium league, we touch the sky. Pedal to metal, no brakes in sight. Racing forever in the glowing night. V8 screaming, thunder on wheels, heat from the asphalt raw and real. Tracks a snake, it twists and winds, grip the wheel, leave fear behind. Spotlights dance, tires squeal, victory's close, you can almost feel. Pulse is wild, the finish looms, the checkered flag, it seals the room.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as we get ready for another amazing night of racing action here with the Premium Stock Car Racing League. As each and every one of these drivers looking to try to put themselves up and into victory lane here at the beautiful Michigan International Speedway. As these drivers are strolling out onto the racetrack, they're getting their qualifying efforts in right now, trying to set themselves up for a good start and potentially a good day here at the Speedway. As Brian Underwood jumps into that pole position, we see Jonathan Ilardo in the Clemson Tigers number 3 machine. Up and into the 4th position now is Nathan Brookover, who showed a lot of speed in that practice session. Jumps up into position number 2 here on the speed charts. Just not quite enough to snag that top spot. As right now Underwood has the best qualifying lap time by about a 1/10 of a second. Grant Wesley's out there on the speedway getting his time in. We do see Wesley Burke. He's done his qualifying session. Currently sits back in 10th. Derek Bates in the 2 ride trying to find a little extra speed, a little bit of extra drive out there on the racetrack as he's scored back in the 18th position right now. And we do see Nicholas Torres in the 20 ride also out there on the racetrack. And I believe for Torres this is his first race here with the Premium Stock Car Racing League as Bates jumps up and into the 14th spot here. So we gained another 4 or 5 spots there on the racetrack. So moving up a little bit there in the time sheet. But for all these drivers, their qualifying session is coming to a close, and that means it's time to go. It is time for our A-Main feature event, 100 laps of racing action here from the beautiful Michigan International Speedway for what will be another exciting night, another amazing day of racing action as Brian interview. Oh, right, you're right. So Brian also earned himself a little extra money here by qualifying in that pole position, brought to you by Mr. Lonnie Crider. We're going to get Brian up here into the booth right now for his, pre-race interview and after that good qualifying run. Hey, Brian, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Yes, sir. Gotcha.
Brian, man, great qualifying run, great effort out there, puts you into the pole position here again this afternoon, and also putting an extra little bit of money into your back pocket here, thanks to Mr. Lonnie Crider.
Yeah, usually not a qualifying person, but it's nice. Really picked it up the last 2 weeks, and I just kind of keep the money in the league pot for future, events or something down the road. But yeah, just nice to have a good start of the race, especially with the season. I haven't really performed pretty well, so we'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you get a good starting spot and have yourself a great start to the day, hoping to lead to a good finish of the day, man, what we got to expect here out of that 6 ride throughout this feature event?
I'm just trying to keep it clean, and hopefully is not. Bad, like I said, bad luck all season, so I'm just trying to at least finish stages pretty well and try to get a win here. Be nice to, getting pretty late in the season. Got quite a few winners, so I need to, nip that in the butt and start going for playoff points.
Absolutely, man. Well, it's going to be exciting to watch, and obviously starting on that pole position, I'm sure you're going to give it the best chance and best opportunity that you can here this afternoon, and we can't wait to see how it all plays out for you. Brian, congratulations on winning the pole award here this afternoon, and as again, obviously that $15 from Lonnie Crider that you're putting back into the pot, back into the league to help us all out.
Yeah, yes, sir. See you later, hopefully.
Absolutely, brother. We look forward to it.
Later.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there to Mr. Underwood as Brian, qualifying in that pole position, picks up that top spot as we're going to actually hear from Mr. Lonnie Crider right now with our opening invocation.
It's another great day that God has made for us, and it's time for some exciting racing here. So, gentlemen, start those engines, and let's go racing, and let's have a great time.
Alrighty, shout out there to Mr. Lonnie Crider as we are getting ready to rumble. These drivers are ready to rock and roll with Underwood on the pole, and to his outside will be the 7 ride of Nathan Brookover. Starting in that 3rd spot in the singular number 31, it is Brandon Holder. To his outside in the number 3 machine, it is Jonathan Ilardo. Starting in that 5th position in the 64 ride, that is Danny White. To his outside is the number 1 of Jeremy Jeffries. Starting in position number 7, the 88 ride, it's Grant Wesley. To his outside in the Blue Bulls number 9, it is Mr. Melvin Brengerer. Starting in the 9th spot on the racetrack in the 45 ride, that is Scott Lee. To his outside, the 09, another Blue Bulls ride, is Wesley Burke rounding out our top 10. Then we see Josh Crider, the 14, Jack Fletcher, Sean Merriman, Derek Bates, Jordan Crider, Robert Wolf, Farrell Robbins, Brad Neer, Nicholas Torres, and Jonathan Gaston bringing up the back of the pack here as 20 drivers see the green flag fly as we end all the anticipation with our feature presentation. As we are quickly green flag racing here from Michigan International Speedway, the 6 of Brian Underwood will lead them down the back straightaway and hoping to keep these drivers back there at bay at least for the first 25 laps of this race, as these drivers are going to have to worry about fuel. They're going to have to worry about tires. Michigan eats them up out there on the speedway, so you got to be very, very cautious about how hard you're pushing early on here. You may want the track position, but at what cost? Will it burn your stuff up? Will you fall farther back later in the run, especially if you burn those tires up too quickly out there on the speedway? You can already see a few drivers that are trying to work their way through the field, one of those being the 9 ride of Melvin Brengerer, the 5 of Josh Crider. Josh already up 7 spots on the speedway here, battling door to door with Jonathan Ilardo for that 5th position on the racetrack. And for the 5 ride, trying to move through the field here in a quick hurry out there on the speedway, Wesley Burke, Jack Fletcher also both up 3 spots on the speedway as Crider does fall back into that 6th position. But for a lot of these drivers, the tires are going to be the name of the game. You already see Brandon Holder has fallen back 6 spots out of the get-go. Danny White is down 5 positions here. You see a lot of these drivers have fallen back quickly. Scott Lee's back into 13th. Grant Wesley went from 7th to 14th out there on the racetrack. They may just be taking it a whole lot easier, trying to save their tires, knowing that this is going to be more than likely a long green flag run and that it may come back to them later in this race. So they're just trying to play the opposite side of kind of the strategy here as Underwood continues to lead the way. He's been out in front for all 3 laps so far, but the 7 ride of Brookover, Jeremy Jeffries right there with him. Jeffries going to shoot down to the inside here. He's looking to move around that 7 ride of Brookover. We'll see if he can slide up in front of him. Doesn't look like he can quite get there. Couldn't quite make that pass. He did have an open lane, but now the outside is just going to steamroll right on by him as here comes Jack Fletcher. Fletcher up 8 spots from where he started. And for the Home Depot, rigid number 14 ride, looking very strong here, rolling that outside lane and navigating his way to the front. You're starting to see even Brandon Holder gain some of these spots back. You look a little farther back at Crider. He's now into that 7th position as the draft will be another big thing here at the racetrack. You can shoot down to the inside. This is normally where you want to try to make a pass, trying to make this big run down to the inside lane, but on corner exit, if you do not carry a lot of that speed momentum, you're going to fall back here in a quick hurry. That outside speed, that outside momentum, especially on the straightaways, will just pull right back away from you and keep you back there at bay. So you got to keep that momentum. This is a very momentum-based racetrack, and for these drivers, they know that. They know they need to get something rolling. They need to get something going, but the tire wear, trying to make those big moves, shooting down to the inside, taking these hard turns into corner 1 and into corner number 3, a lot of times can chew up your tires, and that could potentially hurt you in the long run. So making too many big moves, trying to make a splash early on, can come back and hurt you later in the run. For right now, Brian Underwood, though, just kind of holding point here, running a little bit more of that middle bottom lane. The 7 right about a car length to his outside, but unfortunately, a couple car lengths off his back bumper. Now, the thing is here at Michigan is other than green flag pit stops, you really won't see this field get too broken up. The draft will kind of keep them together. It's not quite a drafting track like we see at Talladega or any of those other super speedways, but it will keep you kind of bound together and tight together as a pack for the most part, unless if you're really, extremely trying to save tires or anything else, or you run into a problem. Even when you look back here at our 18th place driver, the 20th place driver, Nicholas Torres, they're all right there, right together, and only a couple seconds off our race leader's back bumper here. But you do see Derek Bates a little farther back. Unfortunately for that Buffalo Trace number 2 ride has fallen back now into the 20th position, and he has now found himself about a second and a half off the back bumper of the cars in front of him here. Now that is going to hurt him, and without that extra little bit of draft, that extra little bit of pull and downforce onto the nose and on your back bumper, it could potentially just continue to lose him positions and obviously spots out there on the racetrack, but obviously will continue to make him fall farther and farther back from the rest of the field, where he could be at risk of being the first driver to go a lap down. Now, luckily enough, this is such a big track, I don't think that'll happen, but we do see Underwood all of a sudden slide back into about the 8th position on the racetrack. Oh no, this is a big slide for Mr. Underwood here as Brian. That is not what you normally like to see here, as we saw Jack Fletcher and the 7 ride get around him. He shot down to the inside. The 14 is going to roll right up to him. There's contact between the two of them, and you see Underwood into the outside fence there ever so slightly, and that's where we see Brian unfortunately fall back that, 5, 6, 7 spots out there on the racetrack. And now for Underwood, trying to battle his way back up to the front here. We talked about not having too much good luck in the previous weeks. He was hoping that, starting on the pole, being out in front here tonight, would kind of flip the script here and try to get a little bit of extra luck into his back pocket. But so far, has not been too lucky, but he's led some laps here. He's been out in front. He's worked his way now back into position number 4 and looking for more here, but the outside lane with the momentum. Danny White will edge back in front of him. So won't the 09 of Wesley Burke. So the 6 of Underwood will continue to try to roll this middle lane here. Not quite down to the bottom, not hugging that yellow line, running at one groove above that. Maybe it's going to be a little bit easier on his tires. I'm not too sure, because he continues to fall back. Doesn't carry that speed momentum that he would like to, and ends up having to go right back to the high side here, just in front of the 16 of Brad Neer, and hoping to get a good run here. Gets underneath the 09 ride of Wesley Burke. Burke way up high down through 1 and 2. We'll see how much speed momentum that gives him down this back straightaway, because he's going to be coming in a quick hurry. But for Brookover out in front here, Brookover qualified in second. He looked really strong in that practice session, laid down some really good laps in that Fireball number 7 machine. Obviously a good qualifying effort as well out there on the racetrack, and now leading some laps. Brookover looks really good here, and he's got Elardo on his back bumper, as now here comes Danny White up and into 3rd. Brian Underwood's trying to follow him right on through, as Brandon Holder trying to hold strong here in that middle to bottom lane, and trying to keep Brian Underwood back there at bay. But you're going to continue to see these guys moving around, taking these big runs, trying to navigate their way to the front. Some of those drivers that may have been, a little bit more cordial, a little bit easier on their tires early in this race, even though it may have only been, 2 or 3 laps where we saw some of these other drivers being a whole lot more aggressive. They're already starting to see some of that pain. You see Jack Fletcher's back in position number 7. You take a look back at Wesley Burke, who's fallen into 8th. Josh Crider's fallen all the way back into 11th here. So a few of these drivers that were a little bit more aggressive, making some big moves in those opening few laps, all of a sudden starting to fall back here towards the latter half of our top 10 on the speedway, or even outside our top 10 if you look at the 5 ride of Mr. Josh Crider. But out in front, it's Nathan Brookover who's got the race lead. Brookover is out in front. He's feeling a-okay. He's rolling nicely out there on the speedway and hoping to try to keep these drivers right there behind him, man. And for Ilardo, man, having himself a solid day at the Speedway as well. That is a good run. That is a great drive there for Mr. Ilardo here this evening as well. And there's so many drivers here in the series, so many that have been here in the past that aren't unfortunately here this afternoon. Hopefully we'll get them back in weeks to come, and hopefully we get more and more of these drivers into the action here on a weekly basis. But here tonight, man, we got 20 drivers putting together a great show and a great race for us, and each and every one of them, man, I hope that they all get a good finish. Unfortunately, only so many of them can get what would be classified as a good finish here this evening, as you do see Holder trying to use that inside lane again, trying to make another charge to the front of the field. Unfortunately, outside momentum just proving difficult again for the 31. Can't quite make a move, can't quite find what he was looking for down that inside lane. Nowhere to slide up in front of these guys, and unfortunately kind of losing that momentum again down through quarter 1 and 2. He's going to slide back at least another spot or two out there on the racetrack, as here comes that 09 of Wesley Burke. The 31's right there to his inside. Here comes the 6 right of Underwood. Okay, we're starting to see green flag pit stops. Underwood heads down pit side, so doesn't Danny White. Jonathan Gastons down pit road. Farrell Robbins heads down pit side, and green flag pit stops are getting started here this evening. Only after 15 laps of racing action here, we see our first takers down pit road and making these pit stops, trying to put themselves into the winner's circle. But for Brookover, Jonathan Ilardo, they sit 1 and 2 out there on the Speedway. They're looking pretty good. They're looking really strong out there on the racetrack, and we'll have to wait and see if they continue to hold out in front. But here comes Wesley Burke. Big run for Burke, and here he is, trying to steal that race lead once again, trying to jump back out in front, as we do see Josh Crider and Robert Wolf now head down pit side. Same with Derek Bates as well. So Bates also comes down pit road. Now we did see Sean Merriman. We did not talk about this one earlier. Merriman came down pit road back on lap number 18. Came down pit road by himself, and not on lap 18, lap number 8 he came down pit side. So lap number 8 he came down pit road all by himself, and it looks like that strategy may work out for him. Now, he's going to have a lot older tires than the drivers back behind him, but that track position may be key to his success here this evening as he comes out of the pits. He's in front of Brian Underwood. He's in front of Danny White and Jonathan Gaston, and unfortunately, I think Farrell Robbins may have gotten a black flag here. There's a black flag with Farrell Robbins. May have been too fast exiting pit road, or maybe not an unsafe pit road exit. Something happened, and it looks like there is a black flag here for that 76 ride. So unfortunately, the dude wipes ride. Going to have to make a pass-through penalty here, as Brad Neer did come down pit road that last lap, and you got to wonder when we're going to start to see more of these guys head down pit road. And here we go. Oh, look out, Farrell Robbins. Woo! Farrell, I don't know if this cleared his black flag or if he may have gotten another too fast entering pit road right there. That was another penalty potentially for him, but he came in with a big head of momentum, slid on through there, did make some contact with that inside fence, and now we do see Jonathan Ilardo also with the black flag. Too fast down pit road for the Clemson number 3. So Ilardo and Farrell Robbins both running into penalty issues. Luckily enough for Wesley Burke so far, clean and good down pit road as he's going to get a splash of gas and go and hope that he can try to get back out in front of this field, try to keep some of those other fast cats back behind him as Scott Lee now makes his way down pit side. So here comes the, I don't know what those sponsors are, the Clemson Wolf number 45 ride of Scott Lee also down pit side here as the Little Wolf number 45 ride down pit road. Okay, that is even sadder car here. Let's take a look here. In honor and memory of Little Wolf 2014 to 2026. My gosh, I hope that's a dog or a cat or something, and not a human, because that is sad. Either or, man. I mean, that is still a very, very young age, only 12 years. Man, that's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking. Beautiful memorial car there from Scott Lee, and our hearts and prayers go to him and his family and all of his friends and everyone that knew Little Wolf. Rest in peace. As We do see Brooke over now down pit side. He misses his pit stall right there. That may cost him a few spots down and through this pit cycle. We do see Jack Fletcher also down there as Fletcher's going to get rocketed out right there. He's actually going to leapfrog Brooke over and be in front of that 7 ride. Sean Merriman, a lot of these other drivers that were already down pit road and making their pit stops, including this 18 ride who pitted virtually, you know, I'm going to say, what, 7 laps sooner than a lot of the drivers on his back bumper, but almost 10 laps, 12 laps later than a lot of these other drivers out there on the racetrack. And you see the 14 ride of Jack Fletcher trying to keep himself in front of this pack, but you see Brian Underwood trying to navigate his way through there. Takes him 3 wide to get around that 14 machine, but also trying to complete this pass on the 18 of Sean Merriman, as we saw a little contact there. The 09 up into the outside fence there, beating and banging and battling. As now we do see Jordan Crider headed down pit road. Grant Wesley, who pitted back on lap 21, he'd finally come down pit side. We'll see where he kind of cycles back out, as there's the lead pack. Does he jump in front of him? I don't think he does, but my gosh, he had the opportunity to right there at a corner number 2 to just slide up in front of these guys and try to keep himself out in front, but he is going to be in a pretty decent spot right here, kind of in this battle inside the top 5, and for the 88 ride, going to get a huge shot to the back bumper, trying to push him forward, as we do see Brian Underwood jump in front of Sean Merriman. So Underwood may have control of this race, as you do see the 33 ride coming back out onto the racetrack there. There's Jordan Crider sliding back into the action after making his green flag pit stop. Unfortunately, he'll fall back to 10th and maybe even farther, as there goes Brandon Holder around him to steal that 10th position, as Brian Underwood out in front. Only a few more laps left to go here in our first stage of the day, and man, it's been an exciting one. It has been a crazy one for all of these drivers, as Brian Underwood down across the line trying to break that draft, trying to pull away far enough from these guys that he doesn't have to worry about them being on his back bumper for these final 2 laps of our first stage of the day. But he may have his hands full trying to stay out in front and trying to win this stage, as Jack Fletcher, Grant Wesley, Danny White, all these drivers inside our top 10 looking to hunt him down. You look at, obviously, Grant Wesley down the bottom. He's just stuck with that bottom groove, has not really left that bottom lane. But you do see Danny White, the 09 to his outside. Here comes the 18 up there as well, as they're 3-4 wide. There's good contact there, as the 09 of Wesley Burke was coming up. It looked like Josh Crider had gotten into that back right bumper of the 09 Ronnie. You see the damage there on the rear end of the 09 machine of Wesley Burke. You gotta wonder how that may affect his car and what kind of damage does that create for Josh Crider. But Crider's still gonna look to make some more moves here, trying to work his way around that Bourbon Hills Barbecue number 72 of Jonathan Gaston. But out in front, it is Brian Underwood, and for the final time here in stage number 1, he'll around corner 3 and out at corner number 4. He won't have to battle with anybody down across the line, as he's got a few car lengths between himself and Fletcher, as Brian Underwood picks up our first stage win of the day. So Underwood gets it done, picks up that stage win. We will see the caution flag be displayed for the end of the stage here this evening. And that will probably bring everybody right back down pit road, making a pit stop, probably getting some tires, trying to work on their strategy, work on their race cars, and hope that they can try to work their way up here and put themselves in the same position that Brian Underwood finds himself here in stage number 1. They'll be looking to try to win stage number 2 and try to keep Brian Underwood from earning more stage points and the bonus point to our playoffs. So let's see if we can get our stage 1 winner up here into the booth right now. Is Underwood, quickest in qualifying, won that pole position in the $15 from Lonnie Crider, and now winning our first stage of the day. I'm sure he's going to be fairly happy with that performance, man. That was a great run, great drive, and obviously a pretty solid performance out there on the racetrack. Let's see if we can pull Brian up and into the booth right now. Hey, Brian, you got a copy?
Yes, sir, I got you.
Ryan, man, well, so far, mission accomplished. We talked to you there just not too long ago about winning the pole position. You wanted these stage points. You wanted the bonus point that came with it for winning that stage and starting to build those playoff points up. And here you are, stage number 1 into the history books. You're out in front, winning that stage, man. Take us through it. How you feeling now that you get 25 laps under your belt?
It felt pretty good there. Just annoying. Some drivers just kind of like lose talent, just wash up, kill you in the wall. And it's like, what are you doing? But I was lucky, rebounded. Teammates been doing pretty well. Nathan led quite a bit of laps there. So this team, we've been doing pretty good. Just hopefully next stage is just as smooth.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as smooth, if not even smoother, out there on the racetrack as you head down pit side here for another pit stop. We won't hold you up here to distract you from your pit stop, but, man, good right run, great drive. Congrats on the first stage win, and hopefully we'll get you back up here a couple more times this afternoon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our pole winner and our stage 1 winner, Mr. Brian Underwood. As Underwood hits his pit stall, the crew's going to go to work. They're all putting on tires. As you see Brookover, again, he did this during the green flag pit stop. Went a little too far in his box. Had to throw it in reverse. That's going to cost him, again, some extra time down pit side. As we see Underwood able to beat everyone out of pit row. But we do see one driver staying out here. Robert Wolf did not come down pit road. So now with the race lead is this 13 run. I don't know if he just wanted to try to lead a lap right there, or if potentially, he's just going to play a little strategy here. Maybe that's the call here. Maybe you run the next 8 laps or so, kind of like we saw for Sean Merriman at the, the midway point of that first stage. Kind of came down pit road a lot earlier than everybody else. And Robert Wolf may try that same strategy of the track position pays off. Maybe earn himself some good solid stage points here this evening. Or maybe that Gorilla Garage Door, number 13, just wanted to try and, lead a lap here. Try to get the bonus point for leading the lap and being out in front of Sean Wilder. Says, let's go, you drunken bastards. The Drunken Bastards racing team out there on the speedway. Sean's cheering them on, hoping that they do good, hoping that they can come home with a pretty solid run here this evening. Obviously, with Underwood already, winning the pole, winning the stage. We saw him and Brookover both leading some good laps out there on the racetrack in that first stage of the day. And for the Drunken Bastards, they're going to look to continue on that trend and trying to keep themselves up towards the front and trying to find their way up here into the broadcast booth as stage number 2 about to get underway here in just a little bit. You can already see a little strategy here as a lot of other drivers come back down pit road. Underwood, Sean Merriman, Brookover, Wesley, White, Holder, Josh Crider, Jonathan Gaston, Brad Neer, Jordan Crider, all down pit road, making additional pit stops here, getting some extra fuel into their race cars. And that one extra lap, man, maybe make a difference. Maybe they feel they can make it to the end of the stage. If they try to go slow enough, if they try to save enough fuel, maybe that opens up the window here that maybe they can make it to the end of stage number 2 without having to make that additional pit stop. That could be a little bit of an extra benefit to their drive here this afternoon. Now, we did see Farrell Robbins back down pit side. Unfortunately, Farrell, with those pit road mistakes, I believe he is now 2 laps down out there on the racetrack. Jeremy Jeffries also a lap down out there on the speedway in the number 1 ride. Jonathan Elardo, I believe, got the lucky dog, the free pass back on the lead lap after speeding down pit side himself. So good to see him being able to get back in on the action here, back on the lead lap. We'll see what Elardo can do as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. And out in front, it's Robert Wolf with the race lead. So Wolf has the top spot. He's going to wait till late in the box and go. And he gets a great launch, a great jump there over Jack Fletcher. And for Fletcher and the rest of the field, they'll be playing catch-up down here into core number 1. And for the 13 run, he'll be able to slide up, be able to use whatever lane he pleases. But here comes some of these drivers that were at the front of the field early on and often throughout this race. And unfortunately for the 13 rider, Robert Wolf, he may not be able to hold on to that race lead for very long, as down the back straightaway, that Home Depot rigid number 14 ride of Jack Fletcher jumps out in front, steals the race lead from the 13 ride. And Fletcher now leads the charge here at Michigan International Speedway. So Jack Fletcher has the top spot. Robert Wolf there in second. Then we see Nicholas Torres, the Mobile One number 20 ride, up and into that third position. Now he started at the back of the pack. He's up 17 spots here on the racetrack. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is his first race here with the Premium Stock Car Racing League. So his first race here with this group and out there on the racetrack, man, putting together so far, a solid day, a good day. Hasn't really made any major mistakes or anything else. I mean, the race is still young, but so far putting together a pretty solid effort out there on the speedway. And for that 20 ride, rolls back into about the 9th position. A lot of drivers starting to navigate their way around him as he's just going to continue to roll that inside lane. They're up on that outside with the high side momentum, and he's going to continue to fall back here a little bit. But out in front, it is that 14 of Jack Fletcher. Now Wolf hanging on to second here. This is a good run for him, and this is a good opportunity for that Gorilla Garage Doors number 13 ride, because I feel he's on that same kind of strategy. Now he came down pit road on lap 16, kind of right in the middle of where everyone else made their pit stops. I feel he feels everyone else is going to have to make this green flag stop, so I feel he's going to be in that same situation where we kind of saw, who was that? It was Sean Merriman, who pitted at lap number 8 of that first stage. Pitted virtually 7 laps before anyone else really started to come down pit road. Now, that got him a good stage points, got him a good solid top 3 run in that first stage for the 18 ride. And I think for Robert Wolf, he may have seen that and said, you know what, I kind of want to try to do the exact same thing. So staying out here, now he's got a lot less fuel than the rest of these drivers, but if he can make it, somewhere in that 10, 15 laps, maybe it'll work out for him, as we do see a couple drivers run into issues. And oh no, it was one of the guys that we talked about not having issues and having a good run so far in his first race here with the series, and it looks like that is going to bring out the caution flag as a bunch of drivers get collected in this one, and it may not have been his fault, because let's take a look back at it. So here we go. Okay, so it looks like the 7 of Nathan Brookover trying to make the move here. I believe that is the Ortho number 16 ride to his outside, and I just think they're going to get tied up right here. That's Brad Neer to the outside. Let's see if we can get another angle at it. We're trying to find a good shot. Okay, here we go. So as they come down the back straightaway, Brookover's rolling that inside lane. The 16 ride at Neer's in the outside. Things just get tight, and it looks like the 16 kind of comes down the track right here. I'm not sure if he's just trying to side draft. Oh, we're playing that a little too quick. We wanted to play that at quarter speed. Let's slow it down. So if you watch basically the cut lines in the racetrack, the 7 has the left side tires right on the black strip here down the back straightaway for the very, very long time. If anything, he actually moves farther left on the other side of it. 16 kind of comes down, and unfortunately it ends up hooking the 7, which spins him up into the outside fence. And as he starts to go around, here comes the 20 ride. Heartbreaker there for him. First race in the series. He drives in there, gets a big piece of that 7 machine, and then you see the 31. Brandon Holder, all of a sudden, he's got nowhere to go, and Holder drives right into him as well. Oh, man, big hits here for a bunch of these drivers, and he washes up the racetrack. You see Jonathan Elardo get into the 31. The 33 ride gets a piece of him there as well, and there is about 5 cars that are absolutely tore apart down here. There's the first 2. Here's the 3rd. There's the 4th, and there's the 5th driver. They end up with a lot of damage. Now let's take a look here at the 33 of Jordan Crider. As Jordan sees this happening, stays in the throttle. He's trying to get around it as quick as possible right here. Tries to go to the outside. Unfortunately, 31 comes right up into his lap. Clips some hard contact into the outside fence, and I think the same thing's going to happen here for Jonathan Elardo. Let's throw it back in reverse and take a look here on board with Jonathan. See what he can see in the cockpit of this number 3 machine. There's the contact. Tries to avoid that 30 or the 76 of Farrell Robbins right there, and unfortunately, I think as he tries to get checked up here, I think he starts to slide. He comes down, and I believe he ends up almost running right through this 76 ride. Has to recollect it. As he does, it washes him back up the racetrack, and unfortunately washes him right in to that 31 of Brandon Holder, man. And that is another huge hit. That is another lot of drivers there, man, that just got absolutely tore apart. And unfortunately for Brookover, he was kind of right in the middle of it. Jordan Crider, Brandon Holder, a lot of these guys, man, just getting absolutely tore apart down here into quarter number 3. Man, some big hits. Big hits there. For Brookover, I mean, I think he got maybe the lightest damage out of all 3 or all 5 of those drivers, but this is still going to be very, very, very tough to come back from. So we'll have to wait and see kind of how this plays out and see if these guys can get back into the action. We do see Torrance is able to use his quick repair. He's back out there. He's back into the action. Looks like Nathan Brookover still trying to get this car fixed up. Still a lot of heavy front end damage there for him. Looks like Brad Neer still rolling out there. Jeremy Jeffries, he's rolling back out onto the racetrack. Jonathan Elardo, though, unfortunately still parked down pit side. So isn't Brandon Holder. Both those drivers have now lost a couple laps. And there we go. We see the 31. He's able to get that car fixed back up. It's back into one good piece. Unfortunately here for Holder, he's now 3 laps down. Elardo maybe a little bit longer down pit side here. We'll wait and see when he can get back out there, see if he can at least try to save himself a lap as we get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing. Now, Jordan Crider was able to get his car repaired. He is back out there onto the racetrack, but does find himself 2 laps down. So isn't Farrell Robbins. I believe Brookover is still the first and right now the only driver kind of in that group that got absolutely tore up. Actually, him and Torres both able to use their quick repairs quickly here, and both being able to stay on the lead lap. That's a great break for them, as unfortunately now for Holder and even Elardo, if he can get back out here, they're going to be battling. So Elardo, Jordan Crider, Farrell Robbins, they're going to be duking it out here as those 3 are all 2 laps down. Now, they don't need just 1 caution flag to get a lucky dunk to get back on a lead lap. They need 2 caution flags to get back on a lead lap here this evening. So, and obviously, for the one, if Farrell Robbins, you know, gets the lucky dunk here at the stage break, he gets 1 lap back, needs another yellow flag to get another lucky dunk to get back on a lead lap, and then we still need a few more to try and get Jordan Crider, Jonathan Elardo, and then at the back of the pack here, that 31 rider, Brandon Holder. 3 more laps out there on the racetrack. Now, with a little bit of strategy, maybe they can work their way back into a little bit of magic, maybe back into a good spot here late in this race, but I think it's going to get really, really tough for them to try to get those amounts of laps back here this evening. It's Jack Fletcher, though, out in front, continues to hold on to the top spot. Melvin Brenger there in second. Wesley Burke up and into that 3rd spot, trying to battle his way up to the front, as here comes Brenger down to the inside of that Home Depot rigid number 14 ride, and looking for the race lead, but can't quite get there, can't quite make it work. Here comes his teammate Wesley Burke back to his outside, looking to try to, you know, attack this 14 from a couple different angles here, trying to keep him on his toes. And look at Brian Underwood right through the middle. Woo! Doggy Underwood moving right through the middle of the field right there, going 3 wide to slide his way up into about the 7th position on the racetrack. Looks like he's willing to make some big moves here, knowing that this is going to be a lot shorter of a run to the end of stage number 2. Maybe he's a little bit more willing to use up some of that equipment, use up some of those tires to try to work his way up here into the lead of this race once again, and trying to win our 2nd stage as well, as he's got Gaston right there with them. Jonathan's trying to help him out, trying to get him up towards the front of the field here, as Mr. Gaston kind of stuck back in about that 7th, 8th, 9th position here, as the inside momentum just does not pay off for him, and now it's going to get even worse. Look out, there goes Gaston. Farrell Robbins collected, Brad Neers collected. Caution flag is back out here in stage number 2. So we went, the first almost, 30 laps or so clean and green other than our stage break. And then here in stage number 2 now, a couple yellow flags as the intensity and the action continues to heat up. And it looks like it's a little bit of 3 wide as we're going to take a look at Scott Lee in the 45 right here. I believe this is kind of where things get started with Scott Lee because he gets a good run. He's rolling the middle groove here. Down low, you see the 72. Tries to get to the inside here of the 18 in the 72 ride, and unfortunately, I think he bails out of it and was expecting to find a hole here back to the outside. There was nothing there, though, as the 16 had moved up to his outside fender here in for Scott Lee as he kind of starts to come up, sees the 16, now trying to stay out of them. They make contact, though, and unfortunately, as they do make contact, it pushes the front end of the 45 down the racetrack into that right rear quarter panel of the 72. That's going to get Gaston turned around, and then you're going to see he gets into the 16 and the 76 of Farrell Robbins. Nowhere for him to go as he gets right into the back end of that 72 ride, and then you see everyone else trying to slide their way through here. Man, somehow or another, I don't know if any damage got dealt to that 33 ride of Jordan Crider, but my gosh, Jordan somehow slid his way through all that chaos down and out of corner number 2 and was able to avoid a couple really close calls. As here we go, he sent it down, then all of a sudden sees a bunch of cars going around and just able to avoid him, keep himself in the right direction. No damage, man. Great moves there for Jordan Crider, and I think he may get paid off with this one because I believe for that number, I don't know if it's going to be him or Elardo that's going to get the lucky dog here. It looks like it is going to be Elardo. So unfortunately for Farrell Robbins, getting tied up in that wreck does not give him a free pass, and it looks like the lucky dog will be handed down to the next driver 1 lap down, which is the number 3 of Jonathan Elardo. So Elardo gets 1 lap back. Now, he's still 1 lap down here. Unfortunately for Jordan Crider, 2 laps down. Farrell Robbins, who's down pit side, he is still also 2 laps down and now has some damage that he's going to have to try to get repaired. Brandon Holder's back down pit side here. He's 3 laps down, so he'll be really looking to try to get something fixed up here, trying to figure out some sort of a strategy to try to work his way back onto the lead lap here this evening. But for Scott Lee, going to get some damage repaired. Brad Neer as well, a little bit of damage. He'll get that checked up. 72 ride in that Hall. What this says, Hall something. Hall Construction, Hall Drilling. Number 72 ride. The Hall ride, though, the G-Man himself, Mr. Gaston, down pit road, getting any of those repairs, trying to get that thing fixed back up and back into one piece out there on the speedway as we'll get them all ready to rock and roll. Another restart here, but this is going to be a much shorter run to end stage number 2 here this evening as Jack Fletcher out in front as they come across the line. They'll complete lap number 42. So as they take the green flag, they'll complete lap 43, and that means we'll have 7 laps to duke it out here in stage number 2. Who will come away with that stage win? Will we see Fletcher be able to hold these guys off? Will Burke, Josh Crider, Branguer, Danny White work their way up to the point? Will we see our stage 1 winner, Brian Underwood, work his way back to the front here and winning another stage on the day? Maybe we see someone from farther back. Maybe it's Wesley, Merriman, Torres, Brookover. Maybe one of those drivers can navigate their way to the front. When you look even farther back, you see Robert Wolf, who was on that, kind of an opposite pitch strategy than everybody there. Obviously, these couple yellows kind of threw that idea and that game plan a little bit out the window. Now, he was down pit run on lap 35. So we're in a handful of other drivers. Then we saw some others, obviously, back down pit road there on lap 41, getting some repairs and fuel and tires and everything else there from that last caution flag on the racetrack. So a few of these drivers making those additional pit stops, maybe just for fuel, maybe some tires to play a little strategy, maybe to try to work themselves into maybe a stage win here in stage number 2. But they're only going to have 7 laps to figure it out, and if there's another caution flag, it may end our stage prematurely here this evening. So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out as the iRacing pace car will make that hard left-hand turn back down pit side. and the race lead and control over to the 14 rider, Jack Fletcher, and down through that Geico restart zone. Gets a great launch. Great drive there for the 14 ride. Able to quickly clear the 09 of Wesley Burke, and it may even bring Josh Crider right on through with him here. Crider slides up in front of the 09 ride. Unfortunately for Burke, right off that restart, falls back into about that third, fourth position, and now may fall even farther back as he's got Brian Underwood and the 88 ride of Grant Wesley working down to his inside. Danny White able to slide up in front of him down into corner number 3. But out in front, it's still Jack Fletcher as Fletcher continues to lead the way. It's Josh Crider, though, right on his back bumper. Josh looking to try to find his way up and into the stage win here this evening. Let's see if we can get a good little in-car camera action of this number 5 ride out on the speedway. It's Josh Crider. Always one of those guys that has the webcams turned on for us. Always a special thing to see these guys, in their element, in their cockpits, and see what their surroundings are, not only on the racetrack, but in real life as well. As we'll take a look in here on Mr. Crider, see what he can see here from not only his webcam perspective, but right from the cockpit. Let's take a lap here with Mr. Crider. See what Josh can see out there on the racetrack as he chases down our race leader. He's only got 5 more laps left to go. 5 more laps to try to reel in that number 14 ride and not only try to get back to his rear bumper, but then try to find and complete a pass to steal the race lead away from that 14 machine. This Crider right there with them. Not only trying to play offense here to try to steal the stage win, but also trying to play defense as well, because there's a lot of fast cats, a lot of great drivers back there behind him looking to try to steal that second spot away from him and hoping that they can have a shot at potentially trying to go for the stage win themselves. So we'll see if Josh Crider can hang on to P2 here in stage number 2 out there on the racetrack, as he's going to stick right there with our race leader. But you do see the dogfight back behind him. Danny White's right there battling door to door. As look out, the 16 rides around again. They're wrecking at a corner number 2. Oh, baby, hang on to it. Oh, no. Huge hit here for Brad Neer. A lot of these drivers getting tore up again. Melvin Brenger, heavy damage there for the 9 ride. Caution flag will come back out, and that will end our stage here this evening, as we'll take a look back at it and see what happened, what brought this one together. As I actually see kind of 2 incidences, but right here, looks like the 1 ride down low just pushes up the racetrack here. Looks like he loses it, gets a little bit loose, and just slides up the racetrack, and as he does, he slides right on up and into that number 1, or that number 16 machine. Let's take a look here from the 1 of Jeremy Jeffries as he shoots it down low here, trying to take a big run on the bottom side. Unfortunately, right here, travels up the track, and the 16 kind of coming down, trying to run down the hill here on the back straightaway. They both just kind of meet in the middle here of these 2 lanes, and unfortunately, as that happens, just right in the wrong spot, wrong time for the 16 ride, and for Neer, it kind of clips him, turns him sideways, and from that point on, it's on like Donkey Kong as he's getting bounced around. You see Wesley's trying to figure out a way to get by him. He gets hammered right there by the 18 Sean Merriman, but you see the 16 wash up the racetrack, hard contact into the outside fence, and then you see the 13 of Robert Wolf get hard into his back end, and then you see the 72 of Jonathan Gaston getting right into it again as well here. So more damage for Mr. Gaston as well, as he sees it happening, goes to the outside to hope to avoid it, and unfortunately there's the 13 into the 16 who's into the outside fence, and then here comes 72 into both of them there, getting some pretty solid damage there himself. But we saw not only this issue happening, but kind of just in front of them, almost the same thing happens here to Melvin Brenger. So let's take a look here, as I believe this is going to be Blue Bull on Blue Bull violent crime out there on the racetrack, as we're going to watch. Oh, Melvin gets into the fence here. So he sees a little bit of a bobble, as it looked like potentially the 6 of Mr. Underwood getting loose underneath the 64 ride right here. Has to get checked up. The 31 checks up, and all of a sudden, Melvin slams up into the outside fence, and as he does, he washes back down the racetrack across his teammate's nose, and for the 9 and 09, they make some pretty solid contact, but it pushes Brenger down the speedway, hard contact into that inside safer barrier. Heavy hit there for him, and that is a lot of damage for that number 9 ride. He'll have to use his quick repair up and try to get himself back into the action here this evening. But another caution flag, and that will end our stage as we saw Jack Fletcher, everyone come down pit road there, getting fuel, getting tires, and getting everything else that they desire as we'll get them ready to rumble, get them ready to go back to Green Flag Racing and see who can get it done here in this one. But it is Jack Fletcher who wins our second stage of the day. Now, the 31 ride, I believe, for Brandon Holder staying out here. So he stayed out, did not come down pit road. He is looking for the wave around here past the official iRacing pace car and hoping that in turn will gain him another lap and try to at least get him to 2 laps down out there on the racetrack and at least into maybe a bit of a little bit of a battle, maybe a little bit of a chance here to navigate his way back on the lead lap. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out because I believe Jordan Crider, Farrell Robbins, and Holder are both still now going to be 2 laps down. And for Brandon Holder, he is going to have, you know, a little bit older tires and a little less fuel than those drivers in front of him. So he still may be in a very difficult position. And Sean Merriman, Scott Lee will be at the back of the pack here. We do see Wolf back down pit road, still trying to get some repairs done to that beautiful Gorilla Garage Doors number 13 ride. We see Brookovers down pit side again. I believe we saw Brad Neer also back down pit road trying to get that Ortho number 16 ride fixed back up into one solid piece. He's been kind of a pinball the last couple caution flags. Been kind of right in the middle of it, unfortunately. You know, that's some tough breaks, tough luck for the 16 ride and for a few of the drivers that he's battled with out there on the racetrack. And now looking to right the ship here in this final stage of racing action. As for all these drivers, this may change up their strategy just a little bit, as now this is going to be a little bit longer of a run than I think they were expecting. Usually, this time by the start-finish line, when we complete lap number 50, that's when our stage break happens. This one came out a couple laps earlier, so we're going back to Green Flag Racing here right at lap number 50. So this could be a 50-lap run to the checkered flag here this evening. From this point on, it could stay clean and green. Could be a full 50 laps without an issue out there on the speedway. And for a lot of these drivers, they got to do their calculations, see where they got to be to hit pit road to try to make this first stop and potentially second stop here. I think more than likely a second stop in this final stage, especially when they add in that extra, 2-3 laps that they may have had if that stage would have ended a few laps later than what it did. But for Jack Fletcher, he finds himself out in front. He's got the race lead. He's still got Josh Crider right there in position number 2 with Brian Underwood back in 3rd now. Wesley Burke, Danny White, our top 5. Jeremy Jeffries there in 6th. And then we do see Grant Wesley, Nicholas Torres back there in that Mobile 1 number 20 ride. Melvin Brenger trying to work his way back into the action after just getting tore up and having to use that quick repair for the 9 ride. He's right back into the action here, up and into the 8th position. Brad Neer right there with him. Into 9th is Jonathan Elardo back on the lead lap there. Love to see those caution flags as that's gotten him right back into the action. And then obviously you do see Brookover, Jonathan Gaston, the 2 ride of Derek Bates. Scott Lee's back in 15th. Sean Merriman's in 16th. Robert Wolf, I believe for Wolf, he did end up losing a lap out there on the racetrack. So for Robert Wolf, he is 1 lap down. For the 13 ride, he's in the lucky dog position. He's in line for the lucky dog here. So if there is another caution flag, unfortunately, Brandon Holder, Farrell Robbins, and Jordan Crider are not in line for the lucky dunk here until Robert Wolf gets back on the lead lap, and this is where they're going to start to run into these issues, especially if there are long green flag runs, as you may never get the opportunity to even try and get those laps back. And that could put them into a very, very difficult spot later in this race. And the more drivers that lose laps and go one lap down is more than likely going to take another chance, another opportunity away from them to earn a lucky dog or two out there on the racetrack. As for Jack Fletcher, though, he's feeling like a lucky dog out in front after winning that second stage of the day. And for the 14 ride, continues to lead the way here at Michigan International Speedway as he's out in front. He's looking very, very nice here, leading the charge, trying to keep these guys back there at bay, back behind him, and hoping that he can just try to keep on pulling away, keep them back there at bay, and hope to try to put himself up and in to victory lane here this evening, as I do believe that would be Fletcher's still second win on the season. If I went back and took a look at, see if we can find an area where it has our standings. There it is. That's where we want to go. All right, so after last week's race at Eldora, I believe Jack Fletcher is the only driver with 2 wins on the season here. So Fletcher does have 2 wins. That does give him a pretty decent amount of bonus points going into our playoffs. Brandon Holder has 1 win. Wesley Burke's got a win. And Jonathan Gaston has picked up a dub as well on the season. Last week getting the job done there at Eldora. But unfortunately, being 5 races into the season already, being 5 laps through, we see 4 different winners, and a lot of these drivers are not only trying to work their way into the playoffs, not only by a win, but also by points here. You talked earlier about Brian Underwood, how he hasn't had very good luck. He sits back in 8th in the point standings. He's looking obviously for not only a good run for those stage points, like he said, some of those bonus points into his back pocket for the playoffs as well, and then obviously trying to make sure to snag a win, man. Lock his way into those playoffs. Make sure that he has no sweat here over the races to come throughout this season. As sitting here at Michigan, after tonight, there is only 6 more races until our playoffs get underway. So that's 6 more races, 6 more opportunities to try to find yourself up and into victory lane. And some of those are easier said than done racetracks. Some of them could be very, very lucky, or just take a very wide range of skills to try to accomplish a win at the racetracks. As Bristol Motor Speedway next Saturday night, that's going to prove very difficult for a lot of drivers. That could produce maybe even a new race winner here on the season. So Bristol's a bit of a wild card one, and then obviously we go to Kentucky, Pocono, New Hampshire. That could definitely be a bit of a crazy one. And then Auto Club, and then our final race of the regular season is at Talladega Super Speedway. And being there at Daga, man, for that final race of the regular season could prove to be fairly crazy for all these drivers, as could be, you got to win and you're in basically for a lot of these cats. And Talladega is such a wild card racetrack where a driver that could be sitting, 15th in points and has no chance of pointing his way into the playoffs may be able to squeak up, steal the win, work his way into the playoffs, and knock another one of our, drivers that thought maybe they were a little safer on the point side of things out of a playoff spot, and unfortunately out of the playoffs here. So, even though we're still early in the season, this being only our 6th race now of the season, still 6 races left to go here in the regular season, things are going to get heated up here week after week after week, and the intensity level will continue to rise right up until the start of those playoffs. And the playoffs are no slouch as well. There is definitely a lot of drivers that are going to have to try to do the best that they can in those playoffs, as we have 3 races in the first round of our playoffs. And then we have 2 races, actually, is it another 3 races? Another 3 races, and then 2 races for our championship Final 4 as well. So that's cool to see. Final 4 with 2 races. So that's pretty neat. I like that. So 3 races, and then 2 races in the Final 4 for those drivers to try to find that championship. And again, even after Stage 1, man, the end of Stage 1, our Round 1 of the playoffs, ending at Daytona International Speedway. That's another crazy one, man. That's another wild night that could potentially have a lot of fireworks between those drivers that are trying to advance into the second round and the other drivers that are, trying to, maybe knock them out, trying to put them outside of it. There could be a lot of, drivers getting left high and dry, teams working together to try to eliminate faster cats and more challenging, drivers that they don't want to deal with later in the season. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But here tonight, man, Jack Fletcher is looking really, really strong. He is looking very strong. So is in Josh Crider. Danny White back there in third. He's been right up here all evening. You do see Wesley Burke racing his way to the outside of Danny White to jump into position number 3 on the speedway. And you see Brian Underwood. He's trying to work his way around Danny White. Looks like Danny's going to fall all the way back into 5th. And for Underwood back up into that 4th position. But man, some great racing, some great battles out there on the speedway, and everyone doing a fantastic job out there on the racetrack, putting together a very, very solid race. And unfortunately, we talked about Brandon Holder taking that wave around prior to going back to green flag here, took the wave, got a lap back. Unfortunately, he may be giving it back right here as he's going to make another pit stop out there on the racetrack. Obviously, fuel was getting low. He heads down pit road, getting fuel, getting tires, hoping to get back out there, but I believe he is going to fall back to 3 laps down out there on the racetrack. So that is a heartbreaker there, and obviously getting tied up in that big wreck, our first yellow of the day for the 31. It's going to really put him into a difficult hole to try to climb out of here this evening. Same with Jordan Crider and even Farrell Robbins. His mistake down pit road in that first wave of green flag pit stops has set him back where he may not be able to rebound from it. And then you look at a few of those other drivers that have been able to escape and survive some of that carnage. When you look at Gaston, you look at Nathan Brookover, Jonathan Ilardo, Brad Neer, who's been, right around it here for a few of those yellows. He's up into 7th. You look at Melvin Brengerer, who was just in a huge wreck down and out of corner number 2. Heavy contact into that inside safer barrier. He's been able to use that quick repair, get himself back into the battle, and here he is trying to work his way up inside the top 5. And as he rolls around the 6th ride of Brian Underwood, Brengerer does find his way back up inside the top 5 here. So some big moves, some great storylines. A lot of these drivers not giving up, giving it everything they can, but for each and every one of them, they're all chasing down this 14 of Jack Fletcher. As Fletcher, nice and easy, down and through the start-finish line, will click off lap number 65. So 65 laps down. I mean 65% of the way through this race, and only 35 more laps left to go here from Michigan International Speedway. We'll jump into a quick Peacemaker Gaming. Crank it up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers as we crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming. race fans, a beautiful crank it up session out there on the Speedway, giving us the sights and sounds of Michigan International Speedway. As out in front and leading the charge here after another wave of green flag pit stops, it is that sixth ride of Mr. Brian Underwood. Underwood's got the race lead once again. He was our pole sitter, our stage 1 winner, in the sixth ride out in front, holds a 6.6 second lead between himself and Josh Crider. So 0.6 of a second separating our first and second position out there on the racetrack. And for Underwood, he's in a pretty good position right here. He may be far enough ahead. He may be good enough here that he may be able to pull away here. Start to pull away and drive away from Josh Crider. Try to break a little bit of that draft and start to build up a bit of a gap here that could really prove massive here late in this race, especially with another wave of green flag pit stops still on the horizon for all these drivers, as they were only able to make it 20 laps. Some of them made about 21 laps there throughout that run before coming down pit side. That was kind of the distance that they could go. Now, for every one of these drivers, knowing that, and they were pitting down on lap number 70, they probably are all going to have to pit here by lap 90, maybe lap 91, lap 92, before they're going to be forced to virtually come back down pit road and make their final pit stop of the day. So I think for a lot of these drivers, those are kind of the numbers that they're going to look for, that they're going to go for, but there may still be a few drivers that, take us by a little bit more surprise here. Maybe try to pit a little bit sooner, a little bit earlier here. Maybe even over the next 3 or 4 laps, pitting that much earlier may prove to be a huge benefit late in this race to give you, maybe the race lead or put you into a really good spot for a good finish out there on the racetrack. You just got to hope that your tires can hold on long enough that you can keep on battling here towards the front of the field later in the run. But for Underwood, he's just leading the charge here. Still got a good gap. He's actually built it up a little bit. It's about 0.9 of a second between himself and Josh Crider as he heads back down across the line. He'll complete lap number 20 out there on the racetrack. So 20 laps left to go here this evening. 80 laps down, 20 laps left to go. And for Brian Underwood, he's hoping that this is enough and a good enough gap that he can use it to his advantage to run away and try to put himself into victory lane. As Josh Crider trying to hold on to second here, you see Danny White, Jonathan Elardo, Jack Fletcher all right there. The 090 Wesley Burke there, as well as the 31 rider Brandon Holder. Now, unfortunately for Brandon Holder, he is still 2 laps down out there on the racetrack and still not in the lucky dog position. That belongs to that number 13, Robert Wolf. Wolf is 1 lap down, still in the lucky dog spot here. So if there was to be a caution flag, he would work his way back on a lead lap. But the 45 of Scott Lee not too far away from potentially losing a lap here himself as our race leader. Is a bit of straightaway back there behind that 45 ride, and now we're going to start to see more drivers making these pit stops. Here comes Derek Bates. Bates is going to pit here at his completion of lap number 81. So this means he's got to make it 19 more laps to the checkered flag. Now, he'll be good on fuel. Should be good there. It's all about the tires and how they're going to look here after, 15 laps, even 10 laps compared to when some of these other drivers will be back out there on the racetrack. They'll give up some time on the short end, but on the long end of this run, that they may be able to work their way right back around him. It may work into his favor. Maybe it'll be a net positive and not a net loss out there on the racetrack. We'll have to keep an eye on that too, right, at Derek Bates and see kind of where he rounds out this afternoon. But for right now, he now falls down a lap and scored back in that 16th position as Brian Underwood out in front has that race lead, and he's still pulling away here. The gap is about 1.6 seconds now, especially as these guys start to battle 2-3 wide here for position number 2 on the racetrack. It's racy back here. These guys are giving everything they got here in second, and this is exactly what the 6 of Brian Underwood wants to see, especially if we can keep this clean and green, as we do see a couple more drivers head down pit road. One of those being Jonathan Gaston, another being the 7 of Nathan Brookover. And unfortunately for Brookover, he gets a pit road speeding penalty. Too fast entering pit road for Nathan Brookover, and for the Fireball Whiskey number 7 ride. He is another driver here this evening to earn a black flag. That will be either a hold down pit road or that will be potentially another huge mistake. And now we do see Jeremy Jeffries down pit side, and Jeremy's going to get a black flag as well. Oh no! As the intensity continues to rise, we're late in the race. Everyone's trying to get everything they can, making these green flag pit stops, and obviously they are proving difficult and causing some issues. And yes, Sean Wilder says clean air appears to be king. Yeah, not only just the clean air, it's breaking away from the pack here. Breaking away from the pack, getting out of that draft, not having these guys kind of on his back bumper and really being, sucked back into his rear bumper. If they were, 3-4 tenths back behind him, they'd be able to drop back to his rear bumper in an instant. But as he was able to break away from Crider, and Crider was still falling back towards Jack Fletcher, Burke, Danny White, it allowed him to gain even more of a gap where he broke that draft, and that allowed him to just kind of keep his foot in the throttle, use that pure speed, and instead of pulling the rest of those guys along with him, it allowed him to break away from that pack, and with that clean air, allowed him to run away there. And we'll have to wait and see how that plays out for him, as we do see him now down pit road as well as a few of these other drivers. So Underwood down pit side for what could be his last stop, same with Grant Wesley, Nicholas Torres. Now we see Jonathan Elardo's down pit road. Josh Crider, Melvin Brangrew comes down pit side, giving that race lead back over to the 14 of Jack Fletcher. So it looks like Fletcher's going to run a little bit longer here. He's got Wesley Burke there with him. The 64 of Danny White yet to come back down pit road. Brad Neer still has to make an additional pit stop. So same with Sean Merriman. Scott Lee as well also has to come back down pit road. So we'll see where all this kind of plays out. For right now, it does look like Brian Underwood is going to be potentially back out in front. We'll see where he kind of lines up here, see if he can work his way around Burke and a few of these other drivers, as Burke's going to stay out another lap. We do see Fletcher and Danny White both head down pit road. Sean Merriman, he's still out there as well. Same with Scott Lee. Underwood leads the charge here from all the drivers that have made the green flag pit stops now, as he's got about 3 seconds now between himself and Josh Crider. So he gained quite a bit there on Josh, and unfortunately, being 3 seconds back, that's going to be tough to try to work their way back up and towards the front of the field here, as we do see Danny White's now down pit side as well. Man, this is going to be interesting. It's going to be fun, but I think for Brian Underwood, he's going to be in the best position out there on the racetrack. You see Jack Fletcher, he's just rolling back out onto the speedway. Underwood is already past him, and with that speed and momentum, going to pull farther and farther away from that 14 ride. Josh Crider and Fletcher, they may be tight together here for what could be the battle for second. Gaston right there with them. Grant Wesley, he's back there as well with that 09 of Wesley Burke, but Burke is yet to come back down pit road here. He's running hard out there on the racetrack and has not made an additional pit stop. Now that may give him better tires later in this race, later in the run. That may help him out, but is he giving up too much time right now? Is he giving up way too much time that by the time that he is down pit side, makes his pit stop, rolls back out there, he's going to have probably about 10 laps to really gain as much time back and try to work himself around a lot of fast drivers, a lot of fast cats out there to put himself back into a good position out on the speedway, as Sean Merriman finally makes his way down pit side here on lap 89 for the 18 machine. For Wesley Burke, here he comes down pit road. He's coming with a big head of steam. Oh, he had to drift it in there, and I think he may have just gotten lucky enough to slow that pace down, man. He had to drift it in and did not get caught speeding, so that's a great pit stop there for him. But pitting here on lap number 90 means he's got 10 laps here, and virtually it's more like 9 laps, because this 90th lap for Wesley Burke, half of it's going to be spent just coming out of the pit lane and trying to build up the speed and momentum again, and then trying to put himself into a good position where we already see Brian Underwood hunted him down. Here comes Underwood down into corner number 1. Should be able to quickly work his way around Burke, as Burke is just rolling back out here, trying to build up that speed, that momentum. Unfortunately, he ain't going to have anything there for Brian Underwood, but we do see the caution flag coming out. Oh no, we didn't see this one happening. Okay, this could change the whole ball game, as that's going to get rid of the huge lead, that huge advantage that Brian Underwood had, it is now gone. As we take a look back here, we see potentially Jack Fletcher in the 13 right here, Robert Wolf running into some issues out there on the speedway. So the Gorilla Garage Doors 13 right on the outside groove, the 14 of Fletcher down low, and it looks like Fletcher just has a big run. He's obviously the aggressor here, trying to gain as much time and as much ground as he can late in this race to advance forward, and unfortunately, I think he's just going to send it in here a little too far, a little too hard. So let's take a look here at it. So here we go. Big run, drives it in there, washes back up the track. I don't know, 13 kind of came down off the wall too. I don't think Fletcher was expecting the 13 not to be right against the fence here, and still more in the middle of the racetrack. And yeah, both kind of just, one kind of coming up, the other one kind of just holding middle ground. And unfortunately, Fletcher, I don't think, realized that. Obviously, they get tied together. They get turned around here. They both go for a slide down through the infield. And this is never a fun spot to be, as the rest of the drivers out there on the racetrack still rolling. And for the 14 ride, finally able to come to a rest right here. Still no caution flag. And then as he turns around back onto the racing surface, that's where the caution flag is thrown, as he was virtually sideways on the racing line, on the racing surface. That's where our official finally throws that caution flag. Now, luckily, break there for the 14 ride and the 13, that they were able to catch the caution flag and not fall even farther behind. But now it really sets things up little differently here late in this race, because I think there was a few drivers that were kind of on, no tire pit stop right there, maybe trying to take a little bit of fuel only, that splash of gas and go, hoping that will work into their favor, and one of those being Wesley Burke. Now getting this extra chance to come down pit road. You see tires going on to that 09 ride. Looks like Danny White also going to get some tires here. Same with Grant Wesley in the 88 ride. Brian Brewer, Josh Crider, they're all getting tires. So they're going to be a little farther back here. They're going to be just outside our top 5. But that being said, could have a huge advantage in that tire game late in this race, for some of these drivers like Underwood, Gaston, Jonathan Elardo, Jack Fletcher may kind of be sitting ducks out there on the racetrack. We do see Derek Bates is in 5th, Wesley Burke, who comes out of the pits into that 6th position, may be in the best spot out there on the racetrack, as Sean Merriman, Scott Lee, all these drivers ready to rumble, ready to go back to battle for what is going to be another crazy finish here on the Peacemaker Gaming broadcast, and another amazing finish here with the Premium Stock Car Racing League, as this time from Michigan International Speedway is Brian Underwood, who's hoping to try to hang on to the race lead. And he talked about having no luck here early in the night after winning that pole position. Now, he was able to win a stage. He got great stage points there, obviously, for winning the stage, but good stage points in stage number 2 as well for this number 6 ride. And now, leading this race, I think he was in line that if this stayed clean and green and we weren't going to see another caution flag, even with the 09 of Wesley Burke kind of making that short splashing gas pit stop there, not taking any tires, you saw him kind of coming out of corner number 3, or not, corner number 2, as the 6th ride was passing him and virtually being able to carry all that speed momentum, was probably going to pull a few seconds ahead of that number 09 ride. And I think Underwood had this one in the bag, man. With a late race yellow flag, I mean, he probably would have been able to be on cruise control and drive this 6th ride up and into the winner's circle here at Michigan International Speedway. But now, with all these drivers right back to his rear bumper, late in the race, anything can happen, man. And obviously with 6 laps left to go, we see that green flag fly. It is going to be very, very tough for Underwood to keep these guys from trying to chew him up and spit him out here and steal this win away from him. So I think there's a little bit more bad luck there for that Rumpelmans machine, as that's unfortunately going to put him into a spot where he may now potentially lose this race. And a race that I think he kind of had locked down there throughout that long green flag run, and now he'll have to just try to break away from him again, try to keep them back there at bay and put himself up into victory lane. He'll have 6 laps to try to do it, finding some more caution flags in NASCAR overtime here this evening. But for the 6 machine, sees the pace car pull back down pit road, hands over the lead to him, and he has control here down through that Geico restart zone. And here we go, back to battle here at Michigan International Speedway. Underwood with a good restart, but a great restart for the car behind him, the 3 machine. Jonathan Ilardo got the exact same launch. I think he timed that one perfectly. And now here we go, the 72 at Gaston down to the inside. They're 3 wide out of corner number 2. A little contact as Underwood pushes up the racetrack. And now here they go, playing defense. The 5 right of Crider up into the outside fence, getting bounced around. And boy, oh boy, you guys came here for a show. Well, here you go. With only 6 more laps left to go, it's on like Donkey Kong. And oh my God, I do not know how they did not wreck there at a corner number 4. Ilardo got hooked by the 6 of Underwood. He basically was sideways down the racetrack into the 88 ride. Luckily enough, they're able to keep it straight, but now here goes Crider. Oh no, Josh Crider tore up. Same with Farrell Robbins, and the yellow flag will fly here again late in this race. Whew, doggy, I feel like we saw that one coming from a million miles away. As these guys were all over top of one another. Look back there, even behind the 5 and the 18 ride. They are 3, 4, 5 wide right there down through corner number 1. And unfortunately, it looks like Sean Merriman here. I don't know. They're door to door. It looks like maybe Merriman just put some dirty air there to the outside as the 5 ride gets a good drive there. It looks like maybe Crider coming down a little bit, and the 18 ride just kind of getting a little tight there. Probably arrow tight, gets up into that left rear quarter panel of the 5 ride of Josh Crider, and unfortunately, that's all it takes to get him hooked up and turned around. And unfortunately, see Danny White and Farrell Robbins both getting tied up into it. Heavy damage there for all 4 drivers, and unfortunately, for Farrell Robbins, that may be the end of his day here. I think he's already used that quick repair up. Danny White looks like it may be a tough break for him as well. This one may take him out of the race. But let's take a look farther back here. You know, down and out of corner number 4, I thought for certain we were going to see yellow flag here as they were exiting 4. Let's take a look at that number 3 machine of Jonathan Ilardo. Had that good run, got to the outside here. He had Underwood on his back bumper, but my gosh, let's take a look at it here. Is this ever close? Right here, you see the 6 kind of getting tight, pushes up right here, gets into that left rear quarter panel of the 6 ride, and that's what kind of gets this started as he washes down into the 18 of Sean Merriman. I thought for certain they were going around in the 88 ride. Wesley doing a great job to avoid running through those guys and creating more chaos somehow or another, though. They keep them all pointing the right direction, and then that's where things get started here. The 18 ride losing a little bit of that speed and momentum. The 5 to his outside, getting a big push from the 7 of Brookover. And then right here is where we see that contact. Slight nudge. 5 starts to go around, and then fortunately for the rest of them, they get piled into it, and unfortunately another late race caution flag to mix things up here this evening, as we did see Josh Crider down pit road getting some work done to that 5 ride, getting it fixed up. Back out there on the racetrack, so wasn't Scott Lee, and Sean Merriman also down pit side here. Jeremy Jeffries scored back in that 13th position. Brookover, I do believe, is still scored a lap down here, as I believe Jeremy Jeffries got the lucky dog back on the lead lap. For Brookover, did not get that lucky dog, and unfortunately for Brandon Holder, who's now into the 15th position, he is still 2 laps down here, still needs a couple more lucky dogs, and I'm not sure this late in the race he is going to get them, as we will head to our first NASCAR overtime. Now, I don't know if this is going to be scheduled NASCAR overtime. I think we may get lucky and see this go green before overtime. Yeah, it's still just a caution, so we'll have to wait and see. I think we're going NASCAR overtime, because I think we're going to have to run 101 laps Lights are still on the official iRacing pace car as they head back down and across the start-finish line. So that means they're going to complete lap 98 right here. The lap 98 is completed. That means when we go back to green flag racing, it'll be virtually lap number 99, which case that means we're going to have a NASCAR overtime, and it'll be a 2-lap attempt here to see that checkered flag fly. Now, with NASCAR overtime, the rules are simple. We will see the green flag fly. If they can make it all the way back around and take the white flag, the next flag will end this race. But if the caution flag comes out before the white flag flies, then we will stack them up, we will rack them up, and we will do it all over again out there on the racetrack. Now, if we do that 3 times, the 3rd attempt is our final attempt at NASCAR overtime, and that will end the race. If there is a caution flag at any point in time in that 3rd and final green, white, checkered, another yellow flag would bring our race winner into victory lane under the yellow conditions. Now, we don't want and we do not like to see a race end that way, but it is always, you know, more than possible. We've seen it in the past. We will probably see it in the future, but hopefully here tonight we see this as a one and done here. A good restart, a good solid, you know, penultimate lap of the race, and then a amazing final lap where carnage can break loose once we take that white flag. The big Hail Marys, the big moves, the big shots, and the big wrecks can all happen after that, but we do not want to see more of these drivers get tore up and taken out of this race and not have themselves, not give themselves even a chance at trying to at least win or advance their position. But we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. As out in front, it's Mr. Gaston. Jonathan will see the green flag fly, gets a good launch, good jump right there, clears that 14 of Jack Fletcher. Looks like he's going to slide up in front of him and try to take that middle lane away from the 14, but Fletcher quickly drives down to the inside here, looking to try to take that top spot away from Gaston. And I'm not sure if Jonathan's going to have anything for him, but it looks like he may get the extra help to his back bumper. Contact there, I think the 14 Ryan trying to squeeze him up to the outside, and now here comes Underwood right back into second, and Underwood's looking to try to go after Gaston for the race lead, as unfortunately Jack Fletcher slides back into about that 3rd, 4th position here, does fall back into 4th as you see Wesley Burke, Nicholas Torres up there. They're looking to battle towards the front. The 5 right of Josh Crider's right there, as well as Melvin Brengerer, as the white flag has been displayed, as here comes Underwood down through 1 and out of 2. Brian will slide up in front of the 72 of Jonathan Gaston, and now here we go. Brian Underwood with the race lead down the back straightaway for the final time here this evening. Jonathan Ilardo, Jonathan Gaston in tow, trying to hunt down this 6 machine, but Brian Underwood will not be denied here at Michigan International Speedway, as Brian will pick up the checkered flag here this evening. Man, what a run and what a drive from Brian Underwood, as it looked bleak. It looked like it may have cost him the race win with those late race yellows, but he battles back and says, I will not be denied the win here at Michigan, and he gets it done, and on the final lap makes that drive through 1 and 2 to steal the race lead from Jonathan Gaston, and was able to hold them all off, and will pull himself up here into victory lane if he does not wreck this car prior to celebrating it into victory lane here this evening, as he is showing his excitement. He is pumped getting the dump here in this one. Jonathan Gaston with the 2nd place performance, and Wesley Burke rounds out our top 3, just edging out Jonathan Ilardo for that 3rd spot on the speedway. Fletcher had fallen back into 5th with Brengerer in 6th, Josh Crider, Scott Lee, Grant Wesley, and Jeremy Jeffries rounding out the top 10, but it's all Brian Underwood, as Underwood picks up the win and gets to celebrate here this evening from Michigan International Speedway. Man, what a run, what a race, what a performance for him, as he's gonna burn it down and pull it in to victory lane here in Michigan. Man, we'll get ready to pull him and the rest of our top 3 up and into the broadcast booth here for their post-race interviews. Post-race interviews coming up right now. Let's get them into the booth. Hey, Brian, it's Aaron back up here in the booth. Do you get a copy?
Yes, sir. Gotcha.
Ryan, man, what a run, what a drive here this evening, man. Obviously, winning the pole, we talked to you about that. You won that first stage, we talked to you then. Now, obviously, a couple caution flags there. You just weren't able to have enough time to be able to race your way back into the battle for stage win number 2 here on the evening. But here in stage number 3, our final stage of the day, man, it looked like it was going to be yours through that long green flag run. It seemed like you had finally been able to break away from the pack there, using that clean air and no, draft to your back bumper that they weren't able to stick with you. You pull out in front of them here by almost 1.6 seconds prior to that, what looked to be the final wave of green flag pit stops. It looked like it was going to work out for you with, multiple seconds between yourself and the rest of those guys, and you're going to be in line to just be on cruise control late in this race and be able to bring it home into victory lane. And then this late race caution flags kind of started to come out, and at that point in time, I don't know what was going through your mind, man. Take us back through it. Did you think you were going to find your way still up here into victory lane after those late race yellows?
Yeah, I feel like I've done always well here. The race was going smooth. There was a period where you have the two teammates that bump owners together, and they don't like to pass, and so that period I was kind of stuck in third in that second stage there. And really, once it got to the last stage, I knew it was going to be pretty tough to pass, so I wanted to set myself up for green flag pit stop, get out in front, and I was able to get out in front of both teammates. And um, yeah, I was lucky they started battling. I pulled away a little bit and got to a 3-second lead after the final pit stop, or well, which would have been. And then yeah, I don't know what it is about a caution would tend to go with me in the lead and nobody around me. But it's happened numerous times the last couple of seasons. But overall, it was a great race. I was gonna run Gaston as hard as I could, and same thing with Jack. I know they didn't try to put me in the wall, but it seemed like we were bouncing off everybody. So it was a lot of fun. It probably put on a good show because it looked like we were 3, 4 wide quite a bit. And man, this track's a lot of fun with this car. It's just nice in the season with the win,
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
in the season,
Yeah,
in this
absolutely.
race with the win.
Absolutely, brother. Obviously, we talked about that, and you talked about that, how big this win would be to try to, get the bonus points throughout the race, and then obviously bonus points here for winning the race and finally getting that monkey off your back here in this season. And here you are in Season 7, again, up and into victory lane, and as you said, another crazy finish here to a premium stock car racing league event because, man, those late race restarts, the green-white checkered, obviously the first restart, you kind of got shuffled back there a little bit. Then here in this one, you're able to work your way back into it. Finally able to work yourself back up into that third position. Good run down into quarter 1 and 2, and down into 3, end up in second, and then boom, you take your shot, your opportunity. I thought maybe you'd wait until 3 and 4 again to make that move to get around Gaston, but it seemed like maybe 1 and 2 was a little bit easier to, throw that slide job, to make that move to try to steal, a position from somebody, and you take full advantage of it because you're able to slide down in front of them, able to take that race lead down the back straight away. You were able to, kind of have him hold a couple blocks back there at bay, as we knew Elardo and Fletcher were coming with some momentum. Unfortunately, they were not able to break around him, and it works out perfectly for you because you got no one really to your back bumper. You got a few car lengths down into 3 and 4. You got no pressure working to your inside or your outside. You're able to just drive it home into victory lane here at Michigan, man, for what was a very exciting race, a very fun one here this afternoon with you guys virtually being stacked on top of one another all evening long.
Yeah. I mean, it was a blast. I knew Gaston was gonna give me all he had there. There was probably a lot of contact. I don't really know. I was just kind of really focused, trying to get all the way down as far as I could. Well, I know we were rubbing, and I knew if I could clear him, it was a good shot to win it. Because 3 and 4, it's kind of backwards how it was last season. Last season, it seemed 3 and 4 was, the turn you wanted to dive in on. Now this season, it's 1 and 2. So, yeah, it was just lucky. Put myself in the right spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I call it luck or not here again tonight. Obviously, some great moves there and lucky to get it done, but unlucky to see that late race caution flag and put you into this position where you gotta battle this tough and make these big moves to try to still put yourself into victory lane and what looked to be, your race to lose and just on cruise control here without these late race yellows. But you're able to keep it all together, make it work, and you park yourself nonetheless right where I think the sixth right belonged here after that long green flag run, and that's into victory lane as you are able to get it done still here at Michigan. Brian, who would you like to thank for a great run, great performance, and your first win of Season 7 here with the Premium Stock Car Racing League?
Yeah, I gotta thank you putting on the show. You always do a great job. You're definitely the most reliable broadcaster out there. So, if anybody's looking for a broadcaster, hit this guy up. Thank my teammates. We were working together there pretty well there most of the night, and then I'm not sure what happened with Nathan, but he had a lot of speed this week. So it's nice to see them finding speed, and then uh, old Puddin, um, Derek, he's making strides. But yeah, and then everybody shows up every week. Everybody runs pretty hard. We have a few cautions, but I mean that's expected with being on top of each other. So I mean, for the matter of fact of that, I appreciate everybody tonight. We didn't get over our head too much and had a fairly good green flag rate, and then just the other admins that help us keep this going along.
Absolutely, Brian. Heck of a run, heck of a drive for you here this evening, brother. Congrats on the win, and we look forward to seeing you back out there on the racetrack from, I believe, Bristol Motor Speedway for next Saturday night's feature event.
You remember who won Bristol last season?
I believe it was you.
Aha! But Gaston's good there too. So yeah, stay tuned.
Alrighty, well, we'll look to see if you can get it done again and find yourself back up here in the victory lane, brother. Congrats, though, for tonight's run, and hopefully that momentum will carry you right on through to maybe back-to-back seasonal wins and back-to-back wins here in this season for the sixth ride.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our race winner, Brian Underwood. As Underwood gets it done and finds his way up and into victory lane here this evening. As Jimmy 3 times in the chat says, 6 drove like a baby. He drove like a baby. Well, maybe baby Jeff Gordon or something out there. I mean, he was able to find victory lane. I mean, babies don't normally drive into victory lane. Maybe most of the time they get carried in there. But tonight, Brian did the hard work, got it done, and found his way into the winner's circle. As we'll get ready now to pull in our second place finisher, the driver that had taken the white flag, unfortunately did not take the checkered flag here this evening, the 72, Jonathan Gaston. Hey, Jonathan, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. You get a copy?
I got you, man.
Jonathan, man, another good run, another good race, and another trip for you up here into the broadcast booth, man. Take us back through this one. It's obviously a lot of craziness out there, man. A lot of, decent caution flags, and then obviously some of these late race restarts and everything else, man. It works out into your favor because all of a sudden you end up with that race lead. You take the white flag, and you almost win this race. Unfortunately, Underwood able to work his way around you down through 1 and 2 to steal this win away from you here this evening, brother. Take us through it. What's going through your mind after 101 laps of racing action here at Michigan International Speedway?
Well, we almost went from the outhouse to the penthouse there. I can't figure this track out. I have no idea how to run it. Brian had us all covered. I was lucky to get stage points there in the first stage. Second stage, I messed up. Then I ended up in a wreck, and it came down to that last pit stop, and I was running 7th or 8th, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to short pit. I'm going to take 2 tires and roll the dice. And I did. And I came out, and I was still 3 seconds behind Brian. I'm like, well, I'm just going to have to ride here. And when that caution came out, I said, I'm committed to the 2 tires. I knew clean air was huge. And honestly, once I got out in clean air, it felt really good. And I just tried to hold Brian off as long as I could, but he took 4 tires on that last stop, and man, he was strong. He was strong all night. And my best bet was to try to block him there. We got into each other. Wasn't nothing intentional. I hope he doesn't think bad of me for that. But you're trying to win a race, white flag lap.
Yeah, absolutely. He talked a little bit about it. Obviously, I feel like he had the same sentiment as you did. It's like, it's last lap. Everyone's trying to get everything they can, and when you're battling for the race lead, it's bound to happen. The contact is going to be there. You're both fighting for the, win. You're fighting for the same track position, the same line if they're on the racetrack, being the, maybe preferred line, or just trying to block one another or anything else to find victory lanes. So just good, hard racing action for the win here at Michigan International Speedway on that final lap. Unfortunately, you slide back into second, but luckily enough, man, you keep a lot of these other fast cats back there behind you, and you end up with another really good points day here after finding victory lane last Saturday night at Eldora Speedway. Now you back it up with a second place run here at Michigan, and now you head to another track that you're usually really good at, which is Bristol Motor Speedway next Saturday, man. It seems like this middle portion of the regular season is falling all in line here for the 72 machine.
Yeah, the next 2 tracks I really like. I've actually sponsored the next 3 tracks. They haven't put it out there yet, but we'll be racing for money in the next 3 weeks. So maybe that'll bring some more guys out. I'd love to see our numbers grow just a little bit, as long as they're quality guys. Right now, I feel like we've got a pretty good quality field. It'd be nice to have about 30 cars out there, but yeah, I'm looking forward to Bristol. Last week was good to me. This week was good to me. I'm curious to see where I move at to the points, and we'll just keep on chugging along here and see how much more we can get before playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to get as many points, trying to earn as many bonus points along the way. And for the 72 ride, looking to try to hunt down back-to-back championships here in the Premium Stock Car Racing League. But here tonight, Jonathan, a great run, a great drive for you. You parked that 72 ride up here on the podium, man. Who'd you like to thank for another great run and great performance out there on the racetrack?
I'd like to thank my teammates. We had good pit strategies. We just Farrell got a speeding penalty early, and he couldn't overcome that. And then Danny overshot his pit and couldn't overcome that. But I got a shout out to those guys because they put us on good pit strategy all night. I thank my wife; she's in there with my boy. Shout out to my students. I don't know if anybody logged in tonight and watched it. Hall Drilling, Bourbon Hills Barbecue, Tom's Tire, Precision Design, Gastons Graphics. Shout out to you for putting on these broadcasts, and PSCRL guys for getting this league going, and hopefully continue going for a long time.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Jonathan, great run, great performance, man. We can't wait to see you back in action and see if you can park this 72 ride maybe right back up here in the broadcast booth next Saturday night, man. Congrats on the second place run, and we'll see you back out there in the next one.
Yes, sir. It's Bristol, baby. Anything can happen there.
We look forward to it, mister. We look forward to it. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our second place finisher, Jonathan Gaston, as Gaston comes home in position number 2 here this evening. As we'll get ready now to pull in our third place finisher, it's the 09 of Wesley Burke. Hey, Wesley, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Do you get a copy?
Yeah, gotcha.
Wesley, man, another good run, another strong performance here for the 09 ride as you park yourself up here on the podium after what looked to be a very hard-fought night of racing action as we saw you right in the thick of things here, right from the drop of the green flag down to the checkered flag, man, in some very tight battles out there on the racetrack, and even right here at the end, down across the line, beating and banging fenders with Jonathan Elardo to steal that third spot away from him, man, take us back through this race, and what's going to go through your mind after the smoke is settled here at Michigan?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I would have got second if the caution didn't come out there. The first one that brought us into the after the green flag pit stops. I had just come out right behind Brian, and I had about a 3-4 second lead to third. I think I could have held on for second. And then if we didn't get that last caution there, I think I could have won it. I had just gotten the outside of Jack for second when the caution came out. So, but I hadn't even run a single practice lap. My first laps were the 2 qualifying laps. I was running a 130 lap IndyCar race before this at Richmond. Nothing like it. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So you jump into a completely different car, a completely different atmosphere virtually, and you are still able to perform well, race really good out there, put on a heck of a show for the fans in the stands, and park yourself up here on the podium, earning yourself some really solid points here this afternoon as well.
yeah.
So all in all, man, it was a good day here at the Speedway for the 09 ride. Obviously, those late race caution flags wreaking havoc there, not only on yourself, but the rest of the field, and especially including still our feature winner, Brian Underwood. But obviously, he looked to be, in control of this race, on cruise control to the checkered flag until these yellow flags started to fly. And definitely, he had to work for that one a lot harder than I think he probably wanted to. And even for yourself, having to battle here for that podium finish. But man, you were able to get it done. Park the 09 ride here in third. Wesley, who would you like to thank for another great run and great performance out there on the racetrack?
Just my Blue Bull teammates.
Beauty, Wesley. Well, heck of a drive, heck of a performance here this evening, man. We'll see you back in action again next Saturday night from Bristol Motor Speedway, and see if we can find this 09 ride right back up here in the broadcast booth post-race, maybe a couple spots better, and into victory lane.
Hopefully.
Beauty, Wesley. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You too.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up for the 09 of Wesley Burke as Wesley comes home in that third position here this evening. Heck of a run, heck of a drive there for the 09 and for the rest of the field, man. These guys put on a great show for us, man. That was a lot of fun, a lot of great battling, 2 wide, 3 wide, 4 and 5 wide. Out there on the racetrack almost all night long, just putting together a heck of a show and heck of a performance for every one of these drivers, man. And we can't thank them enough for tuning in and just putting together a good race for us, man. 20 cars out there, and as Jonathan said, he's putting up some money, as Lonnie Crider did. Lonnie had some money up for the last 3 races. Jonathan's backed that up now. He's put a little extra money on the line now for the next 3 races coming up. So for all these drivers, it's just a little extra incentive to show up here to race, to battle, and to try to, earn a little bit of Jonathan or Lonnie's money out there on the Speedway, man. It's always a beautiful thing, and obviously we like to see high car counts. 20 is still great, man, with the performances these guys put on tonight. We could have added another 10 cars, 15 cars, who knows, maybe even another 20 cars, but that may have doubled or tripled our caution flag. So sometimes it's, quality over quantity out there on the Speedway, and this quality group always puts together a great show for us, man, and a lot of great racing, and we appreciate each and every one of them that show up and put together good, solid performances like they did tonight. We can't wait to see them back in action next week from Bristol, but it is Bristol, baby, and obviously there could be a lot of fireworks, could be a lot of craziness there at Bristol. Obviously, caution flags can definitely be aplenty there. That is short track racing. We're expecting that, but it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be really, really interesting to see how that one pans out and see who finds their way up and into victory lane for race number 7 of the regular season next Saturday night. But here, completing race number 6, our halfway marker in the regular season, it's Brian Underwood who finds victory lane and parks the 6th ride back up into the winner's circle here in season 7. But thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. Unfortunately, that's going to do it for us here tonight, man. We can't thank you guys enough for watching, man. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys hit the like button on the stream for us. Hit that subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today. Turn those bell notifications on. That way you never miss it when we go live. And we'll see you guys back in here in the next one. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. Peace and love, chat.
Engines roar, the night ignites, rubber burns under neon lights, chrome shining, stars align, dreams hit the track, now it's grind time. Wrapped tight, tailpipes glow. Pit stop precision, gotta keep that flow. Crowds a jungle, hearts in the choke. Lap by lap, adrenaline spoke. Speed kings, chasing that checkered crown. Under the moon, we don't slow down. Saturday nights, we ride, we fly. Premium league, we touch the sky. Pedal to metal, no brakes in sight. Racing forever in the glowing night. V8 screaming, thunder on wheels. Heat from the asphalt, raw and real. Tracks a snake, it twists and winds. Grip the wheel, leave fear behind. Spotlights dance, tires squeal. Victory's close, you can almost feel. Pulse is wild, the finish looms. The checkered flag, it seals the room. Premium league, we touch the sky. Pedal to metal, no brakes in sight. Racing forever in the glowing night. V8 screaming, thunder on wheels. Heat from the asphalt, raw and real. Tracks a snake, it twists and winds. Grip the wheel, leave fear behind. Spotlights dance, tires squeal. Victory's close, you can almost feel. Pulse is wild, the finish looms. The checkered flag, it seals the room.